Mitchell Robinson has made a demand on when he returns to the New York Knicks rotation, and we have to talk about this. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to waste no time jumping right into the video because there was a post last night from Knicks Movement on Instagram that was talking about the starting five, and Mitchell Robinson said that he would rather come off the bench after being included in that starting five group, and said this: I would rather come off the bench and maybe I can show more. Now, at first glance, what we have to see here is shout out to Mitchell Robinson. There's not too many players in the NBA who are going to have recently signed extensions and then be 100% willing to come off the bench. He's making more money, like around $10 million more dollars than Isaiah Hartenstein this season. But he has no problem with that. Hartenstein's his friend, and Mitch knows that he is going to have to be rehabbing this ankle. But there's also something else here that we have to discuss. Mitchell Robinson in the past has been upset with his amount of touches. And when we look at this starting five, a fully healthy Knicks starting five, that's Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, there is a clear fifth option when it comes to scoring the ball. Mitchell Robinson. There's no secret about it. He's the last option on that team. He's not going to get any real touches with that starting five, the same way that he wasn't when it was basically the same lineup except RJ instead of OG. We know that Mitch is not going to get touches if he starts, and Mitch knows that because he's been on the Knicks long enough. He knows he doesn't really get the ball in the post ever. He never really gets too many lobs, which is outright ridiculous, and they need to fix that. So he wants to go to the bench, and he thinks he can have more scoring opportunities. This is not the first time that this has happened in Mitchell Robinson's career. Now, David Fizdale, by all means, was not a good coach. I'm not going to say that he is, but here's the deal. He put him on the bench because it gave Mitch more confidence to come into the game and just go crazy. And it led to him scoring a lot of points. I mean, Mitchell Robinson had an awesome game in his rookie year where he had 19 points, 21 rebounds, and 7 blocks. He came off the bench. Mitch wants to come off the bench if it means he's going to get more touches, because I think in Mitch's mind, if he scores the ball more, he's going to get engaged more. The number one thing about Mitch, who's shooting 36% from the free throw line this season, is that he doesn't look interested in shooting free throws. He's not in a rhythm. He never touches the ball. It's hard to get into a rhythm. If we look at Mitch, he's got his lowest field goal percentage of his career this season at 57%. And part of the reason is the only time he's ever getting the ball is off of offensive rebounds. I think in Mitch's mind, he's like, okay, let me go to the bench unit. There's less isolation here. There's a lot more passing. I can get opportunities to run pick and rolls with Deuce McBride. I can get opportunities to post up on the little guys and just use my hops and the post moves that I've been developing over the years to get me into position to score this basketball more. Honestly, I love that. I love that a lot about Mitch. I think it shows a lot, just one, that he's humble, and one, that he is confident in his ability to score the basketball and doesn't really care if he's starting or not. He doesn't care if he's one of the first five guys to play. He cares about being his best self for the New York Knicks, especially when considering that he's coming back off of an ankle surgery. I think that's good. We're probably not going to see Mitch for anything more than 22 minutes a game, and that's fine. Any Mitch is better than no Mitch because he's one of the most efficient players on the Knicks. He's one of the best players on the Knicks. And again, he's the longest tenured Knick. He had an awesome playoff performance last season. So I think in Mitch's mindset, he wants to come back and just be as effective as possible and isn't really worried about the minutes, especially because it is his friend getting minutes above him. Him and Hartenstein are very close. And if you look at Mitch's stats this season, he's averaging 6 points, 10 rebounds, and shooting 60% from the field. I said 57, my bad. And he also has a PER of 16.2. Now, almost all of these outside of rebounds are well below his career averages. His free throw percentage has plummeted. His effective field goal percentage has plummeted because it's just field goals and free throw, and he's not hitting them as much. And then PER has gone down too. So I think in Mitch's mind, he'll get to be the more classic version of Mitch that we know if he comes off the bench, and that's perfectly fine with us. It's definitely fine with me. I mean, I think it's for the best. And if you look at Isaiah Hartenstein, since Hartenstein became the starter, he averaged 10 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 3 assists in 35 games. So clearly Isaiah Hartenstein can handle being a starter. And when we look at it, there's a lot of reasons to like Hartenstein as a starter for the Knicks playoffs, more than just you can't play the hack of Mitch at the end of games. And SNY did an article on this last week. Essentially, they were making cases for both of Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein. And something they talk about is, though Robinson is the better defender, Hartenstein is the better offensive player. He's a great passer for a center. He's able to comfortably play out of the high post and has a better touch on his dribble and inside shots than Robinson, all of which are true. His scoring is 1.2 points per play on his post-up attempts, which is a solid mark on very few attempts. The Knicks don't really ever work out of the post unless it's Julius Randle isolating, then just going downhill and bullying, kind of taking a second, bodying up, and then hitting a layup. Now, also when talking about the playoffs, they mentioned that the last 2 times the Knicks have made them, their defense has been fine, but the offense has sputtered, and the spacing and stagnation were problematic. And Isaiah Hartenstein helps with both because he doesn't have to be on that low block to be effective. You can put Hartenstein on that high post spot, and you can't just leave Hartenstein open from the high post, because if he has an open mid-range, he'll probably make it. He's an NBA player. He's got skill. He has a nice shot for him. He'll probably make a high post mid-range shot, so you have to guard him, which creates so much spacing down low for Julius Randle to work and bully people, for Jalen Brunson to get in there, draw fouls, get the end one, because Jalen Brunson's the GOAT. And then also, he's built real chemistry in that 14-2 month of January, and maybe it's only a month, as they say, but the Knicks will only have that amount of time to get guys back in rhythm and playing together, which is no easy task. So probably it's best to not mess with the starting 5 as much as possible. And he won't have to shake off his rust like Mitchell Robinson. They also mentioned the Achilles, but again, Hartenstein's going to have to play way less minutes when Mitchell Robinson is here, because you can kind of stagnate them. With Robinson coming off the injury, you could have Hartenstein play 26 minutes and Robinson play 22. Then you have 48 minutes of elite center play. Or not elite center play, but you have 48 minutes of well above average center play for 2 different centers that could each start on a championship team. So that would be massive. And also, in other news, Josh Hart recently spoke out on the fact that he tried to recruit Kyle Lowry to the New York Knicks before he eventually signed with the Sixers. And in Josh Hart's own words, yeah, I texted his ass. I told him pull up, told him fuck with us, but obviously that didn't happen, so fuck him. Now, obviously, Josh Hart's kind of a clown like that. He's going to mess around. Doesn't actually mean he's got beef with Kyle Lowry, but he did text Kyle Lowry, told him to come to the Knicks, but there wasn't really any room for the Knicks here, so I'm kind of happy this didn't happen. Nothing against Kyle Lowry or his ass, but I just really don't want him on the team when we have Deuce McBride. It just doesn't make sense. I get that Kyle Lowry can be a good mentor or whatever, but I don't want Deuce's minutes getting taken. I don't want him getting taken by a vet who's going to leave in 2 months. It doesn't make much sense. There's enough guys on the team that could mentor Deuce as a point guard where it'll be just fine anyway. And Lowry gets to go home and finally play for the Philadelphia 76ers at age 94, which is nice because many people are in the retirement home by the time that Kyle Lowry got to the 76ers. So good for him. Maybe Mikal Bridges will find his way there also. I'm just kidding. He's going to find his way to the New York Knicks. But look, also just going off of that, Kyle Lowry has averaged in 48 games this year 8 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and shot decently from the three-point line, and is not exactly having the greatest season of his life, but he's not like completely lost his ability to play basketball, and he would not play on the New York Knicks, or they wouldn't play Deuce. And Deuce has had a better season, especially since things started to pan out. You could obviously see he's the more efficient player just from looking at these stats alone. He's a 40% shooter from 3, averaging 6 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. So maybe those basic stats don't jump out, but when you look at the percentages, you realize that Deuce is having a better season, especially when regarding the fact that since January 1st, since the turn of the new year, since the trade, Deuce has averaged 9 points, 2 assists, 1 and 1.5 rebounds in those 35 games played. So clearly Deuce is holding it down. No real reason to kind of have an old guy step in. It's not really going to change much, and Deuce is better than Kyle Lowry as of March 18th, 2024 at 3:21 p.m. and 21 seconds. So yeah, I think that the Knicks are fine, and they don't need more veteran leadership like that for someone who would actually play. If you got a guy like Taj Gibson, who's shout out for making the Detroit Pistons roster because whatever the Pistons are doing, that makes more sense to kind of have a guy at the end of the bench, extension of the coaching staff, especially with Ryan Arcidiacono going, RIP. He's alive. He's just not going to sign with the Knicks till the summer. That was misleading, but I think you guys know that. That's all for us today. Like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a comment down below what you guys think about the Mitch situation, the Kyle Lowry situation. I will catch you on the next one. Have a great day, and go New York Knicks, who play in Madison Square Garden and are going to beat Steph Curry tonight.